Hi, everybody. It's Julie. Welcome to Hello Monday. Now, St. Patrick's Day is coming up pretty quick, and I thought it would be really fun to make these mini pole pinatas in rainbow shapes and have some gold and treasures stuck inside them for my granddaughters. So, this is how I did it. I know it's been done before, but this is how I made mine. And I grabbed the rainbow card shaped die as well as the never ending fringe. I'm going to be working with the medium size fringe. And I have some white washi tape and some colorful tissue paper that's been in my supply closet for like forever. So I die cut four of the rainbow shapes because you're going to need two per pinata. And then I cut some strips of Nino Solar White. This is all Nino Solar White, 110 pound. I cut those strips 1 inch by 11 inches long. And then I'm going to take my white washi tape and start going around the perimeter. Now, the only reason I'm using white washi tape, if I didn't say this already, it's because I didn't have any regular household masking tape, which is what I would recommend that you use. And I had blue painter's tape and I had this bright yellow painter's tape and green, the frog tapes. I had all of that. But you don't want to have something with a harsh color that's going to show through your tissue paper, right? So that's why I grabbed my white washi tape. Now I'm going to keep going all the way around the edge of my rainbow shape. And I don't need to do the inner arch or arc, whatever it's called. I just need to do all the outside edges. So, and when I'm done, I'm going to have a piece that looks like this. And now it's time to start putting the sidewalls to my pinata in. Now I made mine 1 inch wide by 11 inches long, but you can make yours deeper if you want. You can make it an inch and a half or 2 inches or even 3 inches. And that's going to be one chunky pinata. So I'm keeping mine kind of small because, the bigger they are, the more you have to fill them. So I just wanted a fun little treasure for them for St. Patrick's Day. And it's fun and springy, right? So I'm going to take this 1 inch strip here and align it along the bottom edge of that shape and start rolling the tape up and applying it. So that's how I'm going to attach these sidewalls. And that's why I have the tape all the way around the perimeter. Now, to get around that corner there, it dawned on me, yes, I made many mistakes as I was doing. Well, I guess I shouldn't say mistakes. It just I learned as I went was what was better and faster than what I originally attempted between the two pinatas. So you wouldn't know that when you look at the finished pinatas, but I definitely got better on the second one. So I'm using a Starbucks card to crease the line where I need to go around the corner there. So that just really helped a lot just to come around those corners there. And then I could keep going around that curve and flipping the tape up until I got all the way around to the other side. Now, if I ran out of that strip, I just grabbed another one and hooked it on. I just overlapped them right there where they met. It's better to overlap them than to have to butt the ends up together. I just found it was just more stable if I overlapped them there. And then I'm just going to put more tape on it to anchor them together and then keep going like one continuous piece. Of course, if you have cardstock that long, you don't have to do that, but there's no way I was going to make it all the way around with just one strip. So I had a bunch of them ready to go. So once I get to the end of that corner, once again, I'm going to grab my little Starbucks cart. You can use anything you want. You got a ruler, use a ruler. This is one of those things where you just kind of figure out what tool is going to get the job done. And I happen to have a lot of old Starbucks cards that I use them for one thing or another, and this is a great use for those. So now I'm going to come around that corner the same way I did on the opposite side and get that tape wrapped around it. And then once I do, and you can keep it down on the table surface or you can hold it up in the air, whatever works for you. I kind of went back and forth between holding it up in the air to wrap the tape around and setting it back down on the table. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. And remember, none of this is going to be seen. It's all going to be hidden. So it does not need to look pretty. So we're going to come around to that other end, and then I'm going to crease it one more time because I need to create the trap door. Now you can put the trap door in other spots, but I wanted to have my pulls be in the center there of my rainbow, so I decided the trap door would be the best on this particular shape right there under the whole rainbow. And this white piece, I'm actually not going to cover it with fringe. It's not even going to be seen. until you actually pull it open. And then nobody's going to care because they're just too busy looking at all the goodies that are pouring out of it, right? So now I'm going to leave a little extra there. I just kind of shaped it around that arch there. And then I'm going to create a little tab and I'm just going to fold that down and then just crease it back and forth a little bit to kind of reinforce that fold line there, pinch it really tight. And that's going to create, the trapdoor and the bottom of my rainbow. So now I've taken the other side of the piñata and I did the same thing. I put those pieces of tape all the way around the perimeter and then I'm just going to put this on top of the whole thing. It's kind of like a lid for a box. Okay, so I'm just going to go around and completely press all the tape down and this will create the overall shape of my rainbow piñata. Now, at this point, I also realized that if I'm going to put a pole on there, now is a good time to figure out where the hole is going to go. So I just kind of tucked that little trapdoor back into place temporarily so I could make a pencil mark. And then I'm going to use a tiny hole punch. I'm going to use a 1/16. You could use a 1/8 inch punch too if you wanted to, if you're going to put the poles. And I would advise it because mini piñatas, they're just not meant to be beat with a stick, right? So now I have folded all of my tissue paper, and just to show you how I did that, because I'm going to cut this in layers, I just took the sheet of tissue paper and folded it in half, and then I made a strip of cardstock. This is a little bit wider or taller than my fringe die, and it's longer. And the reason for that is it just makes a great template because you want to have a little bit of extra on each side, larger than the die to make sure that your die cuts through all the edges. So I'm just going to wrap that around really quick and then I'll use a rotary blade to trim off the excess. And I'm just going to do that with all of my tissue paper so that I have all my strips ready to go for die cutting. So now I can take these over to my die cutting machine and slap the die down on there and nothing's going to shift because I folded all of this tissue paper like that. So it's all stuck to itself, right? And then I can go ahead and, because this is a never ending fringe, it has an open end along that one on each end. And then I'm just going to trim it away with scissors. Now the tissue paper, because there's so many layers, it's very compacted, but this is nice because you can store these, whatever you don't use, you can store them. And then I'm just going to take apart each layer as I need it so that I don't have all of these layers kind of floating around. And then if I want to save them for anything, I mean, that's a hot mess to try to put stray pieces of fringe away. So I like to leave them compacted and just peel off each layer as I need it. Now, I already finished the first side of my piñata. So now I'm going to do the opposite side to show you what I learned. And I'm using the Tombow Mono Multi glue, and it has a fine tip at one end, and then it has this wider rubber tip at the other end that you can use kind of like a paintbrush. So it's kind of like painting the glue down onto the surface. And I'm going to start at the bottom of my rainbow here. You always want to start at the bottom and then work your way up. It's so much easier. And then I'm not going to fluff the fringe. I'm going to leave it laying flat. So it's not going to look real pretty while I'm doing this. And I'm going to layer 2 layers of fringe at a time because you really want it to conceal the base of your piñata, right? If you just put one layer, it's kind of translucent and it doesn't give you as pretty an effect or as fluffy an effect as if you have 2 layers. So, and I also found that don't try to put 2 layers on at one time. Just do 1 layer of fringe at a time, then double it, and then come around and add more glue and start applying the next layer. Now, this is a curved design. Usually on piñatas, you're going straight across, but this is curved to get that whole rainbow. Otherwise, it'd be stripes on the rainbow and it would look like, is it a rainbow or is it a rainbow wannabe? So I wanted the full on rainbow effect. So I'm going around the curve and I just pleat it down where I need to as I'm coming around the curve. That's all you have to do is just kind of pleat it or fold it a little bit on itself. And this is not going to look pretty, but it will all be hidden. And I'm using a bone folder. This is a Teflon bone folder. I discovered that as I got glue on my fingers, the fringe would stick to it and then I'd just end up sticking to the fringe sticking to me. And the Teflon bone folder, I could wipe off real clean very quickly with a damp rag nearby. So I just found that, wow, this really helped me speed up, pressing it down firmly into the glue and not getting my hands all covered in glue and then fringe stuck to my hands and then my hands stuck to my hands. So, yeah, ask me how I know. So, once you're done with all your layers here, you've got that upper edge. And I decided, I need to conceal that because I just don't like that showing. So, I'm going to add one more round of fringe along the top there. This went super fast and it's going to pleat down and disguise that edge there on the pinata. It looks so much better than if I just left it. So I added 2 layers of fringe because you want to make sure that you're doubling up your layers, and go ahead and trim off the excess. But there you can see I've got that nice bushy fringe there along the top edge. And then to conceal the outer perimeter, you could add more fringe if you wanted to, cut little bits and go, from one end to the other. But I was like, you know what? Let's just take the easy button, right? And I cut some strips of tissue paper that were just 1 inch wide and as long as I could make them. And then I'm just going to start at the bottom there of the rainbow on the inside of that arch and just apply some glue. And like I said, I love the rubber tip on this multi glue. Now you could use probably collage medium by Ranger or any other type of paper glue, like there's what Crafter's Pick, any of those white glues you could use. Probably work just fine, but I just really like the fact that that has like a built-in rubber tip that acts like a paintbrush for me. So I just found that really easy. So you can also use tape runner when you're putting all this stuff on, but the one thing about tape runners, I don't know, to me it seems like kind of an expensive way to use your tape runner for something this small, and glue is more economical. Plus, you get more fudge time, right? If you try to press tissue paper down into tape runner, it's going to come apart, tear, and rip when you try to shift it or move it. Whereas with this nice glue here, I can kind of fudge around, peel it back up as long as it hasn't started to set yet. It gives me a little bit of fudge room there, open time, before it starts to really bond that tissue paper there to the surface. So I did 2 layers of this strip all the way around the perimeter, and I thought that that really finished it off nicely. And here you can see what it looks like at this point. You can trim off anything along the bottom edge with some scissors that are kind of overhanging and looking, along that bottom edge there. So it looks prettier. But I'm using my Teflon bone folder now to go in there and fluff everything up and make it nice and fluffy, and that will hide everything. But what a difference that makes, huh? Isn't that cute? Oh my gosh, I can't even stand it. It's so cute. And then I'm going to, I actually stuffed it full of, because it's hollow, I had stuffed it full of, that Easter grass. I had a bunch of this green Easter grass, and you can stuff it full of whatever you want. You're going to take it out later on, right? But I had it stuffed in there to give it some support because otherwise I probably would have smashed it while I was pressing down on all the fringe. And then I decided I want to put a hanger on it. And luckily for me with this shape, it's not too late to do that. So I pierced a hole in the bottom, and then I'm just kind of making it a little bit larger because there's no way I can get a hole punch on that. I'm going to have to use a piercing tool. And then I took some of this silver string and looped that onto a dental floss threader. Oh my gosh, these things are just like one of the best inventions ever. And I use it to pull twine and string and cord through little tiny holes, and it just saves me so much. It's like a needle for your dental floss, kind of, sort of. So anyway, I don't use it for that, but it's great in the craft room. So now I've got my hanger on there, and I also created a pull. I just die cut some cloud shapes and secured those to more of that string, and then sent that up through the hole there and secured it with a little mini brad. So that'll hold that nice and strongly. So then once you fill it up with all your goodies, you can go ahead and tuck that trapdoor in. And there you go. When they pull on the clouds and give it a good tug, that's going to open that trap door and all the goodies are going to come out. I cannot wait to see the girls open these. It's going to be so fun. Anyway, I hope you give this idea a try. There are all sorts of mini pinatas you can make, but a rainbow one is perfect with a pot of gold stuffed inside for St. Patrick's Day. Just saying. Thanks for watching.